So, this, for people who don't know the math, let me give you like a quick summary of the math. People were very upset about Players 3 drop rate across the board. So now we've already gotten a compromise. But what does Players 3 drop rate mean? So player settings, the way the player settings work, is that every time you bump up a player setting, meaning you have more people in your game or you use player setting in single player, monsters deal more damage, they have more health, they give more experience, and they have a stat called no drop. What no drop says is a percentage chance for the monster to not drop from their loot table. The monsters are always going to drop from their loot table unless they roll this no drop chance. Once you're at Players 5 no drop. Oh, and let me go over this as well. No drop chance affects, or player settings affects, 3 things. How many items an act boss will drop when they are not a quest reward. How many items will spawn from a chest, and if they are super chests, or if they are the chests in Lower Kurast, which drop table they drop from. And I can't go into too much more detail about that, but basically, what player setting you're on determines what runes you could possibly get from these super chests in Lower Kurast. And the chance that a non-boss minion, a non-boss monster, so anything else, whether or not it will drop an item. A champion will always drop items, a unique monster will always drop items, a super unique monster will always drop items, act bosses will always drop items, map bosses will always drop items, right? So, it changes the amount of items that act bosses will drop, and the chance that a regular monster won't drop an item. Okay. At Players 5, the no drop chance is pretty close to 0 for most monsters and for the majority of act bosses. So at Players 5, Bale is going to drop the maximum number of drops, Diablo is going to drop the maximum number of drops, Mephisto is going to drop close to the maximum number of drops, Duriel is going to drop close to the maximum number of drops, and Indariel is going to drop close to the maximum amount of drops. Okay? On Players 5 no drop, your base monster has roughly a 9% chance to not drop an item. On Players 3, which on Players 3, Diablo and Bale are going to drop the maximum amount of items, basically. Don't quote me too much on those numbers. But Indariel, Duriel, and Mephisto are going to drop near the maximum number of items that they can drop. Your chance that a basic monster is going to not drop an item roughly gets up to 24%. So more than 3 out of every 4 monsters on Players 3 base setting is going to drop an item. Okay. That is a rough 15-ish% increase in the chance that a monster won't drop an item. Now, people make a really good point. This means that we're going to see less runes. Technically, yes. We are going to technically see less runes. It's not that there's going to be 15% less runes in the game. That's just not how it's going to affect the total economy of runes. But Senpai went even further and made this change. In vanilla content, the player setting is still going to be base 5 no drop chance. And in maps, so new content, the player setting is going to be as if Players 3 no drop chance. What does this mean for you? What does this mean for you, the player, especially the casual player? Well, Papa Mac's gonna feed it to you. Vanilla content, depending on your setup, has just become the best place to farm for high runes on more casual builds. What do I mean about that? Since just about everything in the game has a near 100% chance to be dropping items, you can abuse this in some very specific places. 1. Normal Hell Cows. Hell Cows, which already had a good rune drop loot table, are now always going to be players 5, even if you're only playing on players 1. And the builds that you need to clear normal Hell Cows in 5 minutes or less are a Gearless Plague Jabazon, just about any Sorceress, any Druid, Rabies Druid especially, but any Druid, any Sorceress, any Amazon really when it comes down to it once you have a decent weapon. Holy Bolt Paladin will be able to do this well. Any Necromancer. Any Necromancer. You can take any Necromancer into normal cows and farm them for runes all you want. Okay. 2 other amazing places. Now, I picked cows. There are other places that you can go. And somebody said the pit. The pit. Ancient tunnels. Mausoleum, technically. But Arcane Sanctuary, which already had a better drop table for runes because it has ghosts in it, which also now has wider platforms, meaning that ghosts are more likely to be over solid land when you're killing them, so that you're not losing as many drops, as well as having the super chests at the end of each lane, and also having the summoner, meaning that you can be farming your keys while doing this, means that any sorceress is now fantastic at farming runes, especially lightning sorceress, and also doing your key farming, and also popping super chests. Now, what is also really great about popping super chests is that rare items, rare items and craftable items have become near infinitely stronger, and we no longer have a cap on enhanced damage. So your rare and craftable items are now going to be rolling 600 plus ED. Quite frankly, the unique weapons that we have right now are going to get drastically outperformed by crafted and rare items in short order in Season 3. Mark my words on that. And then Chaos Sanctuary. So Chaos Sanctuary has Finger Mages, which already have a better loot table for runes. Has great density. On garbage gear can be done in 3 minutes or less. In like starter plus 6 skills gear can be done in 3 minutes or less. And you get to kill Diablo. Let all of this sink in. Players 5 in vanilla content means that casual players are now going to be the largest percentage farmers in content, which has the best chances of getting runes. So, I guess Senpai wanted to say you're welcome. As well as people who are hardcore gaming, who are going to be putting a lot of hours, are not going to be experiencing the same amount of burnout. Maps are now going to drop less items on average. And also you're going to have to put more Magic Find on your build to actually get good sets and uniques. And that's going to reduce your kill speed. So, each map is now going to be less just hyper overflow of items, and it's going to be slower to get to your max build breakpoint, which just naturally extends the longevity of the season and the enjoyability of the season. So, those are huge changes. Vanilla content now actually has a solid point of contention when you're talking about where should I farm. Can be farmed on worse gear and can stack more Magic Find with the same kill speed in vanilla content. Maps are going to require better gear, better Magic Find economy on your gear, are going to give you less items, but are still going to be the best source of farming once you have a very good foundation of gear.